Before we wrap up tonight's show, I did want to take a look back at why the murder of Rob Reiner, allegedly at the hands of his own son, who again allegedly slit his throat, slit his mother's throat at their home in Brentwood, California, why I think that is so jarring for the country to experience right now. It would be jarring to know that Rob Reiner and his wife had been murdered in their home no matter what. It's extra jarring to hear the details as they emerge from these early reports, if they pan out, that his throat was slit by his son, his mother's throat was slit as well, that his son suffered from a decade plus of serious addiction and at one point homelessness, or perhaps at least one point homelessness. But Rob Reiner, to so many people, what he represents is why this is touching a nerve for a lot of us. Now, I'm way too young to have watched All in the Family while it actually aired. I was born in 1993, but somewhere around 2010, maybe 15, so about 15 years ago, there was a channel way up on the list. You know, we're talking like channel 500, something like that. One of those rerun channels that every night played an All in the Family rerun, Monday through Friday, in sequence. So one Monday, you would get 1 week's episode. If it were airing, back in the 1970s, then the Tuesday would be the next week's episode that would have aired in the 1970s. And I have no idea why, but my family got into the habit for basically a full year of sitting down around 2010 and watching in sequence All in the Family together as a family. These, wonderful 30-minute Norman Lear episodes, again, over the course of many, many months, almost an entire year, if I'm remembering correctly. And to me, it felt very current, but it also felt very different. And this is, again, around 2010. I was probably a junior, senior in high school. It feels like it was around my senior year of high school. But we have a clip here of... This is the last episode of, I want to say it was like season 8 of All in the Family, which was the last season where Michael and Gloria lived at the bunker home together. And this is the last scene of that episode. It's Rob Reiner and Carol O'Connor. It's hard to watch now, but if you can make your way through it, I think it'll be rewarding at the end. We can go ahead and roll the clip here.
I want to thank you for all the years you let me live here, and for all the free meals, and for all the nice times we had together. I know there was a lot of arguing and fighting, but we did have some nice times.
Yeah, there was nice times.
You've been like a father to me.
Well, hey, you've been just like a son to me. You never did nothing I ever told you to do.
Hey, Arch, we want you and Ma to come visit us out there.
Oh, well, maybe your mother-in-law can do that, but,
Well, I think you'd like it out there.
Nah, I don't think so.
Sure, fresh juice every morning.
Well, you know me, I always take the can.
Lots of sunshine.
Yeah, where'd I burn these?
Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, well, I don't like an ocean where the sun goes down. I like an ocean where the sun comes up.
I'm gonna miss you.
Well, listen, I'm gonna... Hey, listen. You just take very good care of Gloria and Joseph.
Those are two things you never have to worry about, Arch, I promise.
It was wrenching, because what that scene epitomized was what All in the Family worked towards for all of those seasons. Again, this is the last episode of season 8. It aired in March of 1978. And it epitomized, that is sort of the crescendo of what the show was doing, which was working through how parents, particularly a father and his daughter and his son-in-law, were able to overcome a lot of stress in their relationship, strife, political differences, cultural differences, social differences, and honestly just personality differences so often between Archie and Meathead. And that was what the show was about. And to know that Reiner, who was probably most familiar, I mean, he was an incredible director and actor, film actor, but most familiar to people as Michael Stivic on All in the Family, to know that he met his end, as it appears, at the hands of his own son. Oh, there was something so incredibly, incredibly tragic about that. And I have seen many conservatives over the years mount very interesting criticisms of the Norman Lear shows as kind of being insidious for using a character like Archie Bunker as, in some ways, well, he's not, depicted as a bad person, as in some ways as somebody who was a force for bad in the world politically, that you couldn't just have, somebody in Archie Bunker's position who was, was fundamentally decent kind of across the board. And those are familiar criticisms of the Norman Lear shows from people on the right over the years. But I was talking recently about, an interview I did with somebody who had a very Forrest Gump-like professional history through civil rights marches in the 1960s. Somebody who was on the right, but, had been at the March on Washington. In 2020, Chris Bedford and I interviewed this person, June of 2020, and asked, does it feel worse to you now than 1968? And the answer we expected to get was no. This is 2020, right? So there's riots breaking out, and all of the 1968 comparisons are front and center in the discourse. And we expected to get the answer no, of course not. There's Robert F. Kennedy, there was Martin Luther King. There'd been this string of political assassinations throughout the 1960s. So no, it doesn't feel as bad as that. But the answer we got was it feels worse. And when I watched that scene between Archie and Michael Stivic, I really get why we received that answer during the interview, because this person explained back then there was almost a patriotism to the left, or there was still this kind of fundamental decency. And I'm seeing right now people on the right pass around these clips of Rob Reiner saying legitimately hilarious, cringy things about Russia collusion in those fevered days of 2016 and 2017 and 2018. He was in the Mueller report choir on the left among Hollywood celebrities who were just so eager for that Mueller report to drop and prove that Donald Trump had somehow colluded with Russia. And I see that, and I think not the time to be criticizing Rob Reiner for taking seriously the conspiracy theories the entire major media was spinning up over the course of years, against a political opponent of his. Rob Reiner, whatever you think about the guy, he liked the United States of America. He loved the United States of America, and so did Michael Stivic and Archie Bunker. And that's why All in the Family felt to me, when I was going through the series around 2010, on the one hand, it felt outdated, right? Because there was something so warm at its core, that there was, the ties that bind, were the through line of just about every episode. And it was the process of getting from point A to point B, from division. And again, it wasn't always political. Sometimes it was just personality, from division to unity, just in this little family unit. And I think that's just become, for so many people, very, very difficult now for political reasons, but also for reasons that have to do with algorithmic social media, the media culture itself, isolation and loneliness and high potency drugs. It's getting really difficult. It's getting really difficult for people. So in that sense, it felt outdated. Is there something almost outside of our grasp about the America that Norman Lear not just depicted but captured? And so that's what's, looking back on why Rob Reiner is such a powerful figure to so many, especially baby boomers. I think it's because that's what he represented. If you've ever noticed those creepy ads that pop up on your phone and they seem to know exactly where you've been, what you've bought, and even what you've been talking about, and you've probably asked yourself, is my phone monitoring me? The truth is, your smartphone is constantly collecting and leaking data without your knowledge or your consent. Every day it builds a detailed profile of your life, your location, your habits, your interests, even the people with whom you're communicating, and that information is funneled into an invisible marketplace where it's tracked, analyzed, and sold to the highest bidder. Sometimes, by the way, that is the government, of course. It's not just annoying, it's invasive, and it is happening all of the time. But the Up Phone by Unplugged is different. I have mine right here. You can see it. It's designed to protect your privacy from the ground up. No hidden trackers, no data mining, just a secure, streamlined smartphone experience that puts you back in control. Whether you're texting, browsing, or using apps, the Up Phone ensures your personal information stays personal. It's the phone for people who are done being watched. So if you're ready to take back your digital privacy, visit unplugged.com/Emily and get $25 off a phone case with a purchase of a phone. Learn more and order your Up Phone today. That's unplugged.com/Emily, because your life should be yours, not theirs. And again, here you can see the Up Phone on your screen.